Okay, sorry about that. So x to the second is going to equal 49, and then I find the square root of 49. That means what number times itself is 49, but now it could be a positive or a negative. That's always the case when you square root. So do a square root. If you don't know that it's 7, you go second, and then the square root key is next to the 7, okay? You go second, x second, because if you want a function that's up here above the key, you got to hit second to get into it. So 49, that's 7, okay? So we could have positive 7 or negative 7. All right, next up. 2x to the second power minus 33 equals 17. So we have x to the second only, okay? So that's two answers, but we don't need to factor. Okay, it means we don't need to move everything to one side and set up all the boxes in the parentheses, linear properties. So you add 33, and that's 50. Then divide by 2, and that's 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. So it's positive or negative 5, because 5 times itself is 25. So second, that's how to do a square root, it's 5. Okay, 5x to the second minus 200 equals 105, okay? So we have x second only. So again, linear properties, and then a square root to take out the second power. So there's two answers. So linear properties is just getting x by itself, x second by itself. So undo your minus 200 with plus 200. That's 405. Then get rid of your times 5 with divide by 5. Okay, so 405 divided by 5 is 81. Then I find the square root of the number 81. There's a number times itself is 81. If you don't know it, you click second, and then the x second, 81, so it's 9, okay? So it could be 9 or negative 9. Because 9 times 9 is 81, but so is negative 9 times negative 9, okay? Next, 4x to the second power minus 25 equals negative 125. So we have x second only, so we apply linear properties followed by a square root, okay? Okay, now, so minus 25 plus 25 plus 25. Negative 125 plus 25 equals negative 100. Now you're going to run into a little dicey situation here. X to the second equals negative 25. Now try to square root negative 25. It's not 5. 5 times 5 is positive 25. And no, it's not negative 5, okay? But it can't be 5 or negative 5 because that equals positive 25, and negative 5 times itself is positive. So those are both products of positive 25. Now what times itself could equal negative 25? Nothing. It doesn't exist. So what you do is write no real solutions at this point in the game when that happens. Okay, 7x to the second minus 50 equals 13. So we have x second only. So we will use linear properties followed by a square root. Okay, so times minus 50, so plus 50. Plus 50, that's 63. And you divide by 7, and that's 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. It's positive 9, so yeah, 3 and negative 3. Okay, 16y to the second power minus 6 equals 13. Okay, so it's a y variable. Who cares? It's y second only. Now you're just solving for y. There's two answers for y. So it's linear properties and the square root. So you got times 16 and minus 6. So plus 6. That takes us to 9. divide by 16. .5625. I know that looks kind of weird. And then find the square root of that. Could be positive or negative. So second x squared 0.75. So you can get a decimal for an answer, that's fine. Now let me show you a little quicker way to do that, okay? If you get a decimal, you could just keep that as a fraction and then put the square root over the fraction. So what times itself is 9? It's 3. What times itself is 16? It's 4, okay? So you could also do 3/4 because that's the same as 0.75, okay? Next problem. Now I'm solving for t. You have t to the second only, so linear properties with a square root. Okay, make that plus negative, okay? Plus and then times. Highlight the times. It's in a different place, but you still take out the outside 2. It's like a positive 2, so you minus 2. So that's 2. Then you divide by negative 5. So t to the second equals negative 0.4. So t could be positive or negative, but when I take the square root of negative 0.4, I get a domain error, which means there is no real solution to that problem. You can't multiply a number times itself using what you know now and get a positive, okay? There's no way, as far as the information you know now. Now, sailors need to consider the speed of the wind when adjusting the sails on their boat. The force F in pounds per square foot on a sail when the wind is blowing perpendicular to the sail can be modeled by this function. F equals 0.004 times v to the second, where v is the wind speed in knots. Find the wind speed that will produce a force of 2.5 pounds per square foot on a sail. Now, you don't need to make a bunch of tables. The equation's right there that you're going to use, okay? So, when they give you the equation, you just write it out right in the center of the paper. Now, you're going to make a box to the side and define your variables, what the problem told you. So, where does it say F? Pounds per square foot, okay? Then V. V's wind speed. It says in knots, so just put knots. Okay, it'll be in a parentheses as far as what it means. Now, there's a given value, 2.5 pounds per square foot on a sail. So put that 2.5 next to your F, and you're going to put 2.5 in place of the F. They give you the equation. It's easy. You got to define the variables and then put any values in the problem. You put it next to what it would go with, okay? 2.5. V doesn't have anything. That's what you're solving for because V's left. So now I'm solving for V. It's V to the second only. So linear properties with a square root. So there's two solutions because of V to the second. It'll just be a positive and a negative of the same thing. So V's over here with the times. There's no plus or minus. You go straight to your division. So you don't need to add or subtract anything because there's no adding and subtracting outside. So V to the second. And 2.5 divided by 0.004 is 625. You guys got to look at the operations on the side when you use linear properties. Mark the time, circle it. There's nothing outside of it. On that side, you don't add or subtract. Okay? So positive, negative. And then I find the square root of 625. That's 25. Okay? So I could have positive 25 or negative 25. On a story problem, you don't deal with the negative. Now put your V label, and it's 25 knots. That's all you do on it when they give you the equation. Okay, we're going to be doing some more of that in the coming lesson.